So it won't be a council issue, it'll be a police department and other departments of the city issue, but
I will inform him that he should stress to his employees and potential clients to cross at the corner.
and I base that, Jordan has their big footprint down the street, and you're right to reference that. And I know for sure that people don't necessarily cross at the corner, because I have been one of those people who hasn't necessarily crossed at the corner, full disclosure. So, but it's just different with the proximity there and
Yeah.
that stop sign, so
And
thank
it's
you.
probably good that it is located right at the corner, because will make it easier to do that.
Hopefully.
Yep,
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Lang? Then thank you, sir.
thank you.
Is there anyone else physically present who wishes to speak in favor? Please come forward. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone present this evening who wishes to speak in opposition? And do we have anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition? Are there any council members who wish to speak?
Mr. President,
Mr. Hazen.
if I could. Mr. Prince, could you answer a question for me? If I remember in the past, there was a large sewer line under this property, and there was some concern about some development over that before. Does that still exist, or did that get taken out when we did the major sewer?
I don't recall. Ken Prince, Director of Planning and Community Development. I am not aware of the sewer issue. I can quick look at the engineering comments to see if
I
they're-
thought it came up once before, somebody wanted to develop something.
it would be unusual that a sewer would be traversing a property that small in that location.
Okay.
So if it did, it would probably go north-south. It probably wouldn't go, and then parking, of course, could go over that easement. It would just be restricting of not putting a building over it.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Prince while we have him up here? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Then hearing none, I call for the question.
Question?
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
yes,
Mr. Hixenbaugh?
Yes.
The proposed ordinance passes 7-0. Proposed ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is right-of-way vacation for unimproved Taylor Street at northwest corner of Arthur and Grape Road, east of 410 Arthur Street.
Thank you. May we have the committee report, please?
Yes, Mr. President, as a member of the Land Use Planning Committee to whom was referred the matter of proposed ordinance number 2023-07, I report that I have examined said matter, and I move for it is matter, and that, in my opinion, should be adopted.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the committee report. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council on the committee report?
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
yes,
Mr. Hixenbaugh?
Yes.
Committee report passes.
Thank you. We'll now move into second reading and public hearing on proposed ordinance 2023-07. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward to the podium.
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office, address 715 South Michigan Street, South Bend, to represent the petitioner here. I have nothing additional to add with regards to what was previously said on that first reading portion of it. I do remember, just to back up one step, when you had asked about the storm sewer, that is located on Merrifield Street, farther to the south of Stanley Street. That was part of the Highland project that we had to locate, so if that puts your mind at ease a little bit for that storm sewer. But that's it for this here.
Great. Thank you for that clarification. And then, are there any questions for Mr. Lang with regard to this proposed ordinance? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Please come forward. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone physically present this evening who wishes to speak in opposition? And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition? Are there any council members who wish to speak? If not, then I call for the question.
Question?
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker? Mrs. Volker?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
Proposed ordinance passes 7-0. Proposed ordinance number 2023-08, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is PUD amendment to expand area of previously approved permitted use for a regional recreational facility, part of lots 2 and 4 of Juday Creek Business Park subdivision.
Thank you. May we have the committee report, please?
Yes, Mr. President. As a member of the Land Use Planning Committee, to whom was referred the matter of proposed ordinance number 2023-08, I report that I have examined said matter, and in my opinion, it should be adopted.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the committee report. Any additional questions or comments from the council? I will only add that Mr. Belovich, as the sole representative of the Land Use Planning Committee, you've done an outstanding job tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Anything else? Then, Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council on the committee report?
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
Committee report passes.
Thank you. We will now move into second reading and public hearing on proposed ordinance 2023-08. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward.
Mr. President, members of the council, Ken Prince, Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Mishawaka. Here tonight, this is for the Mishawaka Fieldhouse project. This project has, you've seen it on multiple occasions, particularly as part of the financing. They're getting ready to have their final site plan approved for the project, and there are a number of incidental changes that need to be fixed, amended, to kind of have that clean transition of what was envisioned. And I say that because when we originally acquired the project, you remember, there were 3 holes we were looking to reconfigure of the Judy Creek Golf Course. We added property to that, so when we originally changed the zoning, the property back toward the golf course all fell under that regional recreational facility. So the front portion adjacent to Veterans Parkway needs to be specifically added into that overall parcel. The parcel that we're talking about is now 49, a little over 49 acres for the property, and I'll just go through the amendments that are being requested. The first is regarding the use. We want to limit the use of the property only to the regional recreation facility. The property in the front would have allowed multiple uses to occur on it, and we essentially do not want the developer, without permission, to be able to divide the property and do outlots in front of it. This is meant strictly for the development of the regional recreation facility, and that's one of the protections that we have as part of the development agreement and one of the commitments we made to the previous landowner, that we would restrict that because we're looking for those spin-off uses to occur on the adjacent property, not on the property that's intended for the regional recreation facility. So if you recall, the regional recreation facility is planned to be expanded over time in phases. So particularly with the outdoor component, we think it's important that that property remain only for the regional recreation facility as intended. Another amendment is the signage. We didn't have the scale right for the banners. So the banners that are permitted would be only facing the right-of-way of Veterans Parkway and would not exceed 300 square feet. In terms of the architecture, in terms of permitted materials, we added insulated metal panels on a building this size. This is just an oversight on the original PUD. There is no way to build a building of this size. It's over a couple 100,000 square feet without using a significant amount of insulated metal panels, at least not in a cost-effective manner. Regarding the landscaping, we're looking for a revision. One of the concerns we heard from the neighbors on multiple occasions was the potential impact from visibility. We thought it would make sense to have 20 foot of the required landscape buffer be a no-mow area, so that over time it would grow up essentially as a hedgerow, not manicured, but essentially providing that natural buffer between the golf course and then ultimately the views of the neighborhood subdivision by providing that no-mow area. This also, in my opinion, also helps protect the drainage areas that are immediately adjacent to the property by providing more of a filter area for any drainage going through into that area. I would also note, although it's not before you this evening, that there may be additional amendment that will be coming at a later date. We asked specifically for the developer, in this case Card Associates Architect, to review anything that needed to be cleared up as part of this, and two of the elements that were missed was, one, the building height. Right now, the limitation is 60 feet, and they think they are going to be in at 65 feet for the overall height, and we'll probably ask for 70 in case there's an incidental change. We don't want to keep coming back, but that is one amendment that'll come forward. The other is parking. So parking, they, I believe, are proposing 720 spaces, which meet their need, but based on the square footage of the size of the building, they would need well over 800 parking spaces to meet the ordinance requirement of 4 per 1,000. We do not want them to build more parking than is necessary to serve the facility, so that may also be coming before you as well. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on this amendment.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Prince? Ken, just in general, are there any other updates that, although it's a little bit off topic, that you can share with us? Is the construction timeline still plus or minus what it was intended to be, or where's it at in the development?
Yes, so they're looking to break ground in the next few months. Obviously, earthwork will occur first, so even next month they could, as soon as the weather significantly breaks, get in. There's a lot of topsoil on the property, so they could be clearing the site very quickly, and they're looking at operating at the end of summer of 2024, fall, in that time period. So that building is huge and will go up quickly in comparison, so.
Fantastic. Thank you for the update.
Of course.
Any other questions for Mr. Prince? If not, then thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Please come forward. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone present this evening who wishes to speak in opposition? And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition? Are there any council members who wish to speak? If not, then I call for the question.
Question?
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hixenbaugh?
Yes.
Proposed ordinance passes 7-0. Proposed ordinance number 2023-09, an ordinance amending Chapter 34 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the Fire Prevention and Protection Ordinance of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana.
Thank you. May we have the committee report, please?
Yes, Mr. President. To the members of the Common Council of the City of Mishawaka, your Committee on Public Health and Safety, to whom was referred the matter of proposed ordinance number 2023-09, report that they have examined said matter and that in their opinion, it should be adopted. This is signed by the majority of the committee, and I move for its acceptance.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the committee report. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council on the committee report?
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Belovich? Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hixenbaugh?
Yes.
Committee report passes.
Thank you. We'll now move into second reading of public hearing on proposed ordinance 2023-09. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward.
Good evening. Brian Woodward, Fire Chief, officers at 3000 East Harrison Road. Thank you for having me again tonight. Allow you to speak about this again. We are definitely in favor of 2023-09, changing the municipal code. Adding a third-party service will allow us to better help our businesses stay protected, us inspect them, and keep our whole community better and safer in general that way. We do understand that with our further discussions previously about there could be some potential downstream costs that would be passed on from vendors to business owners. So one thing we discussed about is some accountability to it, that we would be doing audits every year, yearly, with whatever company we choose to go with, that can produce reports, whether we do it at budget time to the council or we can do a year-end report when we do our other year-end reports as well. So one thing we do is we want to be transparent about everything we do. So that way we will have the ability to hold whatever company we choose accountable, and that way if we feel that they're going the wrong way, we don't have to keep that company alone. So, but again, like I said, with the amount of businesses we have, the amount of systems we have, the lack of reporting we receive, it makes the job difficult. This adds a lot of staff without adding any personnel. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Woodward?
Just one comment.
Mr. Hazen?
Hey, Chief, the only thing I would ask is, in 6 months and 1 year, you come back to us and say, last year at this time, we did this many. This year, we've done this many because of this.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Questions? Well, and Chief, thank you for the work that you've done on this, as well as, Chief Dumpler and Corporation Counsel, Mr. Hinkle. It's a really long and involved process, and I know you've been working on it a long time, so we appreciate that. And thank you for that commitment to continue to look at it and have dialogue with us, which I know we all appreciate. Can you expand a little bit more on how this is not just good for businesses, but it really helps the efficiency for the fire marshals and Chief Dempler and his group to be able to really get their arms better around this
Right.
awesome responsibility that they have?
Right, so one thing we talked about is that businesses are supposed to supply us with the reports after they pay for their third-party inspections anyway, which doesn't happen very often. So at least they have to have them when we walk in the door and say, can we have them? A majority of the time, that doesn't get produced right away. So, and especially if you, like, we use the mall, for example, where there's many shops in there, and if you go in, that inspection would normally take you 20, 30 minutes, then you're waiting an extra 45 minutes to an hour for someone who's 17, 18, 19 years old, trying to find a manager, to find this report, he's got to call their corporate offices, have it faxed or emailed down, and you do that by every shop in there. That takes weeks to get through the mall. So we've done what we can already by making them mobile with their tablets. They do all the reporting in the fields. They don't have to come back to the office and do it. Well, now they'll have this information before they go into the store, they'll know. So that way, as more vendors are doing this and they're more compliant, we're getting more access to them. Now their inspections are quicker. They already have this information. They don't have to go in and ask for it. They're going and they're checking tags and they're moving on. So it gives them the ability to get through the mall in a day or 2 days if they have all the information at their hand, as opposed to weeks. So, and the other part is, like Mr. Bernicki said, the nice thing will be that it'll actually be better for the business owner because it takes the responsibility off of them. Once that third party, they have to have that inspection by the third party every year anyway. So once that third party uploads it to the service we choose, we have instant access to it. The business owner now does not have to worry about it. We don't have to freak people out when we go in and ask for it, especially, like I said, I always go to one business we had, and there's a teenage girl that works there. We had one of our marshals show up, and she's like, he scared the heck out of me, because I didn't know what he was talking about. And it was exactly that. She's asking her assistant manager, who's now 19, and then they're calling down to someone who then they have to call down to Indianapolis to get hold of somebody. But this poor girl, and she's like, no, he was nice as heck. I'm just scared. I didn't know what he's talking about. So that's just going to be that overall in general. It's going to be a better product for everybody.
Thank you. Other questions for the chief?
You do have a comment? So I'd like to piggyback off of Councilman Hazen, and I'd like to see, I look forward to seeing you here in 6 months to tell us what a great thing this is.
No, absolutely. I think you see the trends of how this stuff works. It's going to take us a couple of years to get where we need to be, but I would imagine in 6 months, we're going to start seeing some improvement. It's going to be a slow process. Again, it's elephants one bite at a time, but we're not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So we got time. We can make it work. But we'll absolutely be here for it 6 months in a year.
Great.
Yep.
Any other questions for the chief?
Mr. President?
Mrs. Volker?
Hi, I have a comment. Chief, I just want to thank you for embracing technology and
looking for a way to make the work of the police department more efficient and better for the community. And I look forward to seeing the results, but I think they're going to be great.
Oh, well, thank you. I do want to say, this has been a lot of work. It's been 2 years in the making, and it's been 2 years by Captain Dempor and Pat, Mr. Hinkle, city attorney. They've put all the time and effort into it. I just say yes. I never say no to a good idea. So all the credit's got to go to those guys. They're putting in all the effort and all the work. So,
Thank you. Anything else for Chief Woodward? Thank you, sir.
all right, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? If so, please come forward. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone present this evening who wishes to speak in opposition? And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition? Are there any council members who wish to speak? If not, then I call for the question.
Question.
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mr. Hazen,
Yes.
Mr. Belovich,
Yes.
Mr. Benicki,
Yes.
Mrs. DeMade,
Yes?
Mr. Compton,
Yes.
Mrs. Volker,
Yes.
Mr. Higginbotham.
Yes.
Proposed ordinance passes 7-0.
We will now move into privilege of the floor, and this is, at this point, we will invite members of the public to the podium to speak with respect to non-agenda items only under privilege of the floor. Seeing no one physically present at the podium, is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak under privilege of the floor? All right, thank you. Unfinished business, of which there is none. New business, is there any new business to come before the council? If there is not, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
We're adjourned. Thank you, folks.